her. But we're gonna have a conversation here with Lee. And if you have any questions at the end, we'll have time for some Q&A. But thank you all for being here, and let's get started. So Lee, you are the Regional Director of Sales and Marketing.
Correct.
At Gentle Transition, the Well-Rive company.
Yes.
Want to tell us a little bit about what you do there and the work, how it could apply to help people?
Sure. My role is, as you mentioned, Director of Sales and Marketing. So a lot of my time is spent doing things like this, spreading awareness about our company and its services. We've been around for 34 years, but a lot of people still don't know that our services are an option. So my job is to make sure that we're not hearing, oh, I wish I would have known about you guys before I moved 6 months ago, because it's a very, very overwhelming thing, the thought of moving. A lot of people put off their move because they get overwhelmed by the thought of it, and they just stay put. And so really that's my job, is to make sure that people see the value in our services, know that our help is an option. And educational events like this, even if you decide you don't need our help, my hope is that you'll take away some good information today. If you plan to downsize or move on your own or with the help of friends and family, then this should give you some talking points to go back to your friends and family and say, here's how you can help me, because some help is more helpful than others. So we want you to make sure you're getting good, effective help.
You know, can you talk a little bit more about how Gentle Transition helps plan moves? Like, what should people know, if they're going to work with you guys?
Sure, the way we plan a move, so I can take you through the process. So first of all, I should describe what a move management company is, speaking of spreading awareness. We are not a moving company, something to be aware of. We hire out the moving company piece. We've got just a handful of movers that we like to work with. We know them, we trust them, they know our process, and vice versa. Really where we get involved is we always start the process by meeting with a prospective client in their home to do a complimentary consultation to get an idea of what the move or the project might involve. And when I say project, some people just need us to help downsize and make some elbow room in their home. That consultation is used for both the move manager and the client to really get the beginnings of a plan in place. That plan might evolve over time, but at least we have an idea of what we think that move will involve and what help they'll need from us. And then leading up to that move, we are doing things like, see, I thought I might use a prop. We're putting together floor plans. We can go into this more if you want, but we say don't ever, ever, ever move without doing a floor plan. A lot of people say, wow, I brought too much stuff, and this is a key component in not bringing too much stuff. So we always do a floor plan, a scaled floor plan with our clients. Scaled meaning making sure that you really want it to scale. I've seen people make a very good attempt, but they're taking the 8.5 by 11 floor plan out of the marketing folder and just kind of penciling in where they might have the couch or the bed. But if you don't have the sizing and dimensions correct, it can backfire. So we always do that as part of the move planning. Sorting and downsizing, that can happen before, during, or after a move, depending on the scenario. And then the move itself is usually a 2-day process. Day one, the move manager and her team, and part of what she's deciding in that consultation is how many people should be on the team, so that we can have everything packed and ready in about 5 or 6 hours. We can do in a matter of hours what can take a client weeks or months. It's really something to behold, to watch our people in action. So we get everything packed up, except for what the client needs left out for that final night in the home. The bed is still made, they want their coffee maker out, TV plugged in, etc. We leave that out, but everything else is packed, boxes are out of the way. And then the following day is the move day. So when the movers arrive, as they're loading the truck with everything that we've agreed is going to fit on the floor plan, the move manager is then boxing up some of that leftover stuff. And then we go over to their new home, be it the Eloise or wherever they're moving to. And then as the movers are bringing in the boxes and furniture, they are putting the furniture where we have it placed on the floor plan. And then our team is unpacking. This is the fun part. This is why most people hire us. We are then unpacking everything. We're putting dishes away, hanging pictures, making beds, plugging in lamps. Wow. Theoretically, our clients don't have to lift a finger. Wow. And by the time we're done, in just a matter of hours, it looks like the client has lived there for a month, because the boxes are all out, everything is just done. So instead of spending weeks or months or longer unpacking, they can immerse themselves in the community, go use the golf simulator, go for a walk around the green space instead of just unpacking boxes.
Nice. That's really
That's a
nice.
short enough answer.
That's great. Sounds great when we sign up.
Right, that's right.
So what would you say it takes to make a successful move, for people who are planning to move? Any tips?
Tip number one, if you take nothing else from today, it is never too soon to start. Never, 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 never too soon to start. Sometimes people call our office and they'll say, well, we'll call you back in a few months when we're getting closer to the move. We're not quite sure where we're going. And we'll really try. We never pressure, but we encourage them to meet with us sooner than later, because these things, planning and executing a move takes a lot longer than people think. There's a lot more in that closet than you remember. There's a lot more in that attic than you recall. There's more stuff in the shed than you think. And so it is never, ever too soon to start planning and thinking about it, which is why we're here today.
What are some ways people, moving can be very stressful.
Yes.
Unpleasant process. How do you recommend people make it less stressful? Plan ahead. Is there anything else, when they're, looking at all the stuff?
Yes.
How do you downsize? What do you choose to take? What do you choose to leave?
Sure.
It's hard. A lot of nostalgic, sentimental
That's right.
value to items. How do you recommend people deal with that?
It's a loaded question. First of all, take it in bites. When we send a sorter out to work with one of our clients, we don't just walk in and start putting stuff in boxes. We sit down with them and have a conversation. Let's think through what your lifestyle is going to be after this move. Are you still going to cook? Are you still going to entertain? Are you going to do your own maintenance? Are you going to do your own cleaning? Let's talk through what's your day-to-day going to look like, because a lot of times it is different. If you're in maintenance-free living, you might not need everything in the shed or everything in your tool collection. The Folgers cans full of random nuts and bolts. So think through, are you still going to entertain? And even if the answer is yes, do you need to bring the entire dining room set, or can you use a common space like this to entertain? So really think through those, and then use that as a guide on what you need to bring with you as far as holiday decorations. Do you need all the sets of china, or maybe just one or two of the sets of china? Do you need all the Hummels, etc.? And then we say start. Oh, I bring this because it's fun. Do you have all the stacks of cool containers and Tupperware? Maybe just bring one stack. What's that?
I don't have any of those.
Yay, you're already ahead of the curve.
Got rid of all that stuff a long time.
Good job. You're a planner. I like it. But we also say when you plan to downsize, don't go to the basement, for example, and say, I'm going to downsize the basement. Because you're going to walk down there, open the door, go, holy cow, and you're going to shut the door, and it's never going to get done. So pick an area, and we oftentimes start with the linen closet. Because the linen closet, most of the things in there aren't too sentimental. It's not hard to get rid of expired Tylenol, extra bottles of shampoo, extra towels, more than you're going to need now that you have an empty nest. That's a lot better way to build up momentum and get some emotional wins and victories versus starting with with family photos. Don't ever start with family photos, you won't get anywhere. That's one thing we say, let's save that till last or even after the move. So take it off in small bites and be strategic about where you start and when you start.
That's good to know. That's very helpful. How can family members support, people who are planning to move?
Oh, family members. Take stuff, is that what you said?
Yes.
We were talking, I don't think you were here yet, but we were just talking before this, and if your downsizing plan is to give it all to family, correct, shake your head, no. Pardon me. Come up with a different plan.
Yeah.
Who were we just talking about? Give family and friends a deadline, whether it's a true or false deadline. They will not share your sense of urgency to downsize. So you say, by May 31st, come and get what you want. After that, it's going away. So give them a deadline. And then when we start the process, we do a consultation. We have that meeting with the client. Your consultation, if you're doing it on your own, might mean it's a family meeting, telling them what kind of help you need, because there's going to be disagreements with siblings or kids. Mom, why do you need that? You don't need that. And so there can be a lot of tugging in different directions. So tell them what kind of help you need. Take some of what we're talking about today and see, here's what I need you to do, and here's what I need you to not do. I always tell my kids, some helpful is more helpful than others. So make sure that you're getting the kind of help you need and not the kind of help that they think you need, because sometimes they're just in the way, even with the best of intentions.
Right. You know, can you tell a little bit about the background of Gentle Transitions? You know, when it got started?
Sure.
You know, in your experience, how long you've been there, what,
Sure.
you know, what your day-to-day looks like and how you help kind of support the community?
Sure. We were established in 1990. As far as we know, we were the first move management company ever, and now there's hundreds of them all over the world. We meet with them at a national convention every year. But a lady named Mercedes Gunderson had moved her mom several times in a short span of time and saw the stress that it put on the family, her mom, the communities into which she was moving, and just saw this need. And so she started this company, and it was just a little family-run business. But there was such a need for our type of services that 34 years later, we're doing 1,500 moves a year, and there's no signs of slowing because the demand and the need for our services is there. We're doing things basically the same way over the last 34 years, which is care and compassion for our client. We can talk more about the people I work with if you'd like in a minute, because that's important. But care and compassion for the client, walking them through the process. It's not just packing and unpacking. Anybody can do that. But it's also working with the family, and there's a lot of emotional support in there, and planning and making recommendations. Based on our experience, we think you should do X, Y, and Z. So before we ever pack anything up, we are taking pictures of how a china hutch might be arranged, or the way bookshelves are arranged, so that when we're putting it back, we even take pictures of how the magnets are on the refrigerator, so that when we move a client in, it's as familiar and comfortable as possible. Meaning the people we are working with aren't necessarily thrilled at the thought of moving. It's different than when you're younger and it's exciting to move to a bigger house. And so we want to make it comfortable and a very gentle transition. I bring up the pictures because I think really the only technological advancement in our company over the last 34 years is we used to use Polaroids, now we're using cell phones for pictures, but the philosophy is the same. Take excellent care of our clients, people who work in senior communities, and our employees, and the rest will follow.
So it's really living up to the mission, which is to ease the relocation process and provide your clients with peace of mind.
Yes, a short sentence, but an important, there's a lot to that, those few words. Yes, indeed.
That's great. You know, you mentioned senior living communities. You know, we're, grateful to be here at the Eloise at Wirth on the Woods. You know, thank you to Darcy and Ecumen for hosting us. But how does Gentle Transitions work with, senior living communities like Ecumen and Wirth at the Woods?
Sure. We were just talking about this a few minutes ago, but you also asked how my days are spent, and I might have mentioned some of this, but I'm working with the marketing directors of senior communities to make sure that they see the value in our services, because when we're doing our job correctly, which we do, the teams at these senior communities, their jobs are made a lot easier because we're handling the moves. They know that once they hand over one of our brochures, that they don't have to worry about helping that family lift a couch in the door or unload that U-Haul or what have you. So we bring a lot of value to the senior communities in which we work, because it lets them focus on what they do best, nurses, executive directors, etc. And then they leave the moving and the planning in the hands of what we are experts in. But we put a lot of thought into supporting those communities, because they put a lot of thought into how they're going to best support their residents, and we're a natural extension of those efforts.
That's great. You talked a little bit about community already, but can you share some examples and some memorable moving stories?
Oh boy, I read that question beforehand and I still haven't whittled it down to one. There are thousands of them. Here's one. So one of the first people I ever helped move, I do manage moves from time to time. I'm not just a marketing guy who goes to social events, although that's fun too. He was 103 when I did his consultation, A couple years prior, 3 years prior, he'd been, I believe, in the Star Tribune and perhaps on a local news station. And at 100 years old, he was helping his neighbors. He was snow blowing their driveways, mowing their lawns. Tremendous, tremendous guy. When we moved him at 103, it was because he could no longer help and he needed to move into an assisted living community. So we got him moved in there. God, I hope this is appropriate to say, but as we were getting him set up and he was just having a good old time, he had the best attitude, a nurse walks in and he stands up out of his chair, and he could barely stand up, and he goes, "Hey," and starts flirting with the nurse. And I'm thinking, this is great. Instead of him unpacking boxes, he's got time to flirt with the nursing staff. This is fantastic.
There's the marketing spin.
That's right. That's right. Always marketing. But I can tell you, if there's a general statement, it's we couldn't have done this without you. This was worth every penny. If they haven't moved in a few years, the estimate might throw them for a loop and go, well, the last time I moved 60 years ago, it cost me about $60. But the best money we've ever spent, we see tears of joy all the time with the clients, the family going, this is beautiful. I can't believe you did this. I can't believe you did this so quickly. I can't believe how amazing your team is. That's the stories are, and we get feedback. We always leave a how did we do card, and we just, the compliments we hear, I should have brought some examples, but it makes us feel good that we're completing that mission, which is we really are easing that emotional and physical burden. It's so rewarding, so rewarding.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things we do with kind of the mission of Let's Connect is to build connection with the community, build community. Especially the last couple of years, there's been a disconnect with a lot of people in the community. You know, can you speak to, you know, how a move, you might not think of it about building community, but how you're doing that, you know?
Sure, a couple of thoughts there. We do participate in some community events, usually sponsored by a senior community or senior organization like Ecumen or Ebenezer or something like that. We've got some things coming up this summer where we're participating in a spring fling and a summer bash, some of that. So that just helps, again, spread awareness that our kind of help is an option. But going back to supporting the senior communities, one site at a time, it really is, we can help them fill their building full of people who are ready to be in the community. Again, instead of unpacking and saying, I brought too much, I don't like it here, why did I ever move, why did I let my kids talk me into this? It's a completely different experience. There's even anecdotal data that, don't ask me for exact numbers, but we think people stay in senior communities longer because the experience of getting there was pleasant, and then they can get on that activities calendar, eat in the restaurants, and just become a part of that community, meet their neighbors, instead of hiding their apartment under a mountain of boxes. So it's important to us that they get involved in their community right away, because that's part of, even though we're done, we've left, all the pictures are hung, and we're gone, they are then getting involved in that community, which is very, very important.
You know, it is, you know, and are there some things that maybe people don't think about, you know, when they're moving or joining a community, like anything, you know, that's maybe underrated, you know, in the move process or the community building process?
It can be so easy for us. Sometimes we'll get calls in the office and someone will say, I'm in this big house, I'm moving in a couple of weeks, I need your help. And it can be so easy for us to go, why wouldn't you plan ahead? First of all, life events happen, and sometimes there was no planning because they were not expecting to fall and break a hip and go into transitional care. So a lot of people just don't realize how much is involved with moving. One common example is we'll get a call saying we need to move mom into memory care. I'm only available next Friday, so we need to move her next Friday. And we say, have you cleared that with the community? A lot of senior communities do not allow memory care moves on Fridays. And they say, oh, I hadn't thought of that. They say, I want to move in on a weekend. Some communities don't allow that because there's less staff that can help if the maintenance people might not be there if the cable doesn't work, that kind of thing. So we really steer them towards make sure you sign the paperwork as the nurse's assessment occurred. There are a lot of ducks to get in a row that they just don't realize, and that's why I come back to saying we're more than just packers and unpackers. We're guiding them through the process. After many decades, we've learned a lot of questions to answer or to ask and get the answers to. If they want to have an estate sale, make sure you call a couple, get them into your home, because you may or may not have enough things to justify an estate sale. Even if you do, a lot of these estate sale companies book out months in advance because of their schedule. Same with moving companies. So just guiding them through all of these things to think about and ask and prepare for. I could go on and on and on, but there's more to moving than you ever realize or remember, which is why I'll say it again, start now. Or after this, start after this. Don't leave.
You mentioned you've been asked some strange questions over the years. Can you share some of the strangest questions you've been asked in the move process?
Why can't I bring all 3 couches? A lot of what we're up against is the downsizing. We get a lot of questions, or maybe if you want to call it pushback, on how much to bring. And we say, we really want you to have a good experience, and I know you want to bring everything from this kitchen, but it's just not going to fit, so we need to talk through that. We get lots of interesting questions, but we like those. We like those curveballs because it keeps us on our toes, and we know that that client clearly has a lot on her mind. If she's asking that kind of down in the weeds question, then clearly we've got some things to uncover and work through. I always tell our teams, remember, moving is stressful. Even though we do it every single day, our client might seem calm, might put on a good face. So on that scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not stressed at all, and 10 being my head's about to explode stressed. If our client looks like she's at a 2, add 6 points to that. They're far more stressed than they let on, and we need to remember that. And that's why our teams are so great at really, sometimes literally, hand-holding our clients through the process, because they don't always want to divulge how stressed they are, but we know better. We know better.
That's good.
Yeah.
How do you engage, customers or potential customers, help them through the process, or help them who might be interested in moving?
Events like this, we'll do 50 or 60 seminars this year in various communities. Senior communities, senior centers are typically places we go, sometimes churches, but that's one way we spread awareness. But then we also, we have a lot of word of mouth. We do very little, if any, advertising. So a lot of word of mouth, a lot of repeat clients. We've had one client, I believe our record is one client we moved 9 times. So a lot of repeat clients. Each time it gets a little easier because we've done more and more downsizing. But really just making sure we get the word out there. Some of our biggest ambassadors are employees. They love what they do so much that they tell anyone that'll listen about our services, and they oftentimes recruit their friends to come work with us too, because they know how much they love their work. So takes about 34 years or so, but we've got some awareness out there now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are some goals Gentle Transitions has in the future, and how do they align with the needs and priorities of the community you serve?
Good question. So in the beginning you said Gentle Transitions, a well-run company. What that means, so for 34 years I kind of lied and said there haven't been any advancements over the last 34 years. Our philosophy is exactly the same. That process I walked you through from consultation to unpack and resettle. But the Wellrive brand is giving us access to more resources than we've ever had access to before. Long distance moves we've always done, but it was a bit of a clunky process. That's a whole different discussion, long distance moves. But that's a much more seamless process now. We've got access to real estate professionals who are well versed in senior moves. As a matter of fact, they have to have their SRES, which is their Senior Real Estate Specialist designation. So there's access to that, and more to come. Temporary housing, if someone's home sells before they're ready to move, if it's sold quicker than they're expecting. We're implementing storage solutions. So really, we're becoming more and more and more of a one-stop shop turnkey solution than we've ever been before.
That's great.
Yeah, because our goal is always to help as many people as we can. We want to help people, whether it's through information or directly through a move. And we can best help people by expanding our breadth of services.
You know, you mentioned some partnerships, collaborations that you have. What role do you see collaboration, partnership playing in advancing the goals of gentle transitions?
Sure. So we'll have meetings with like, for example, the Ecumen regional sales team. We might have meetings with them to make sure that our services and the value in our services is really being communicated to all at the site level. And also it allows us, if an organization is putting on an event or a charity or something like that, we do what we can to support those causes. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask too. But if people are interested in learning more about gentle transitions, what would the next step be?
I put some brochures on the chairs, so there's a number you can call there that would get you to our office. And I leapfrogged over this. In the beginning I said there's the consultation, so leading up to the consultation you would call our offices. Also, I left one of these on each chair. If you want us to call you, you can fill this out, and we would line you up with a move manager. If you do fill this out, we're not going to spam you, we're not going to hound you, we're going to call you once, and if you still want to hear from us and meet with one of our tremendous move managers, we'll line you up. The way that goes is we'll get some information, current address, where you plan to move, the Eloise, or if you're not quite sure, or whatever. We get as much information as we can. We then assign a move manager to come out and meet with you in your home to do that consultation. So you call our office sooner than later, and that would get the ball rolling with meeting with one of our move managers. Can I talk about our staff for a minute?
Please.
Even if it's not on your sheet. I think it's important because we're going to be in your home, packing up your life, things that are important to you, and I think you should know who would be working in your home. Most of our employees are working in their retirement years. They come to us saying, I want something part-time, flexible, active, and meaningful. I really want to help people. Most of our employees, either they know us from we moved them or one of their loved ones. A lot of them are friends with our employees, like I mentioned earlier, but they are the most kind, compassionate people you will ever meet. The people packing up and working in your home have got big hearts. They've been through this, they know what it's like, they can relate to some of the stories that you're telling them about parents with dementia, whatever, and I've seen our team, we don't train them on this, but we know that our clients sometimes will forget to eat breakfast on move day because it's just so hectic. And I've seen our team members say, have you eaten this morning? You look a little tired. Can I get you a bowl of cereal? That's just how they are. They're just good people. And that also is what spreads awareness. We give people such a tremendous experience that they can't wait to tell somebody about it.
That's great. How many people work gentle transitions now?
We have about 150 employees. The vast majority of those employees are very, very part-time. It's probably something like 50 full-time equivalents, something like that. There are 7 of us in the office that work full-time, supporting the behind the scenes, behind the curtain stuff. But the majority of our employees are part-time. One of the things that they love about working for us is they manage their own calendar. So if they want to go to Mexico for the winter, they don't have to ask our permission, they don't have to put in a PTO request, they just block out their calendars and they go. And as a byproduct of that, we have employees that have been with us for a long time, very low turnover. Usually when employees leave us, it's because they've got a lot of grandbabies now and their knees are starting to hurt a little bit. But they don't leave because they don't like their work. They love what they do and it shows.
That's great.
Yeah.
What are some opportunities that you see, foresee for gentle transitions? It sounds like there's a lot of great things going on. What are some opportunities on the horizon that you see?
I think that as we build out that Wellrive brand and our parent company continues to look for other senior move management companies in other markets, that just makes us more and more of a cohesive, almost like an organism where we can call on each other. We a lot of times are going to share moves with a move management company similar to ours in another market. So there's always going to be more opportunity to connect. We're always looking for, are there ways we can innovate? And of course, this isn't a technology company, but we're always looking, is there some way we can, even though we've been doing this forever and we have a tried and true formula, we don't rest on our laurels. We are always looking, making sure that is our training process buttoned up? Is there something else we could be doing for the communities in which we work? But really that Wellrive network and brand is going to bring more and more opportunities in the coming years. It's actually very exciting, very exciting.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know, shifting gears a little bit on a personal level, what makes a great day for you in your job?
Sure. I'm not just saying this because I'm here, but really doing things like this. For the first, I've been, May 1st was my 7-year anniversary, and for the majority of that time, our previous owners hired me to help run the company, just oversee all operations. And I really did enjoy that. I got to know the company from every nook and cranny. We're a small enough company to where you wear several hats. So I learned this business intimately. I managed moves, I was packing, I was unpacking, I was ordering supplies, running payroll, you name it, I was involved. And then when this opportunity came about because of the expansion of this Wellrive brand, the people I work for said, it seems like you really thrive when you're in front of people. And I sense that you want to spread your wings and get out of the office more. And I said, correct. I love doing seminars, events like this. I love sitting down in front of people who work in senior communities to convey our message and build the value in our services in their minds and helping them succeed in their jobs. I love being in front of people because, well, I was one of those people that 2020 was just torture. So people wanted to sit in the basement. It was awful. So I love getting in front of people. I use the word organism, but to me, the city, the community, the world is this big organism of people. And the more people you connect with and connect with each other, the more we can lift each other up and help each other. You might not need our services, but you might come to me and say, do you know anybody who helps people find a place to move, to live? Or do you know anybody who does estate sales? And we can get you pointed in the right direction because we do a lot of networking and making sure that we've got resources for the people who are going to need our help someday.
That's great.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
So does anyone have any questions? We packed a lot of information in here.
Actually, I have a lot of questions, so I try not to take up too much time. Relating to the moving thing, do you have connections with or suggestions for stuff that can, not just say for an estate sale, but things that can be recycled, or, you know, that those trucks that come and you give them your stuff and they, I don't know, that
Yes.
kind of thing?
Yes, we call it our resource guide, which is exactly what it sounds like. Over the decades, we've built up this list of resources that our move managers draw on for estate sale companies, clean outs. Some people move on their own, but have us clean out the stuff they left behind. We know cleaning companies. We know, you name it. We know places that take military uniforms and all kinds of stuff. So when we meet with a client, part of that consultation is what resources might we need to draw on. If you ever just have a question about, do you know someone who does X, Y, or Z, feel free to call our office and we can steer you in the right direction or at least get you close.
Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes people say, can I get an estimate without you coming out to see our house? And we say, we really need to see it because there are a million variables.
Sure.
You might have collections of this or that, and so that's how we go into the home and see not only what is the move going to involve, but the downsizing and the resources for that to happen.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So some quick they're actually sort of more personal questions.
Sure.
Are you related to Thomas Syndergaard, our new maestro at Minnesota Orchestra?
No, and if I was more cultured, maybe I'd know the answer to this.
That's a different.
I know that I'm related to Noah Syndergaard of baseball fame,
How
but
do you spell your last name?
Syndergaard.
Soderberg is the,
Oh, Syndergaard.
Okay.
Okay.
and he's a Dane.
Yes, right, I know that.
I know I'm related to my mom and dad.
Okay, okay. And I really like your socks.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I was noticing.
Thank you. I think my
Captain
son maybe,
America.
I stole these from my son maybe.
Yeah.
He's
Good job.
10, no, he's 12, about to be 12, and we share socks.
And one more quick question, what
Yes.
did you do before you did this job?
Oh, good question. Before I came to the senior industry, I was in the fitness industry for a number of years. Yes, and that was, of course, helping people, but in a different phase of life altogether. Not only were the coworkers a different audience, but so were the people we served. But it was time for a change, and I very unexpectedly stumbled into this industry. The people who owned the company before I clicked with immediately, and I said, I'm still not even sure what you do, but I want to work with you. Because I could tell that they had big hearts.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fun questions.
Great question.
Okay. I've noticed well, this is probably true about a lot of people, but I've noticed a lot of seniors who are very stubbornly attached to a lot of stuff and really can't. I just wonder, to me, that seems like that would be a relationship of conflict for you guys to have to confront and say, no, you can't. You can't take all that stuff, or, I mean, do you end up just compromising and putting it in storage somewhere, all their extra stuff, or how do you get through that without it being too conflicting?
Sure. We see that all the time. Very good question. Going back to our mission, which is to ease the process, if us pushing back is going to make them blow their top with stress, ultimately they're the client, they're the boss, not their kids, not their friends. The client is the boss. And so we make our recommendations. Sometimes we have to get more pointed and a little bit more firm in our recommendations where we say that is simply not going to fit. But we've done many, many moves where we brought more stuff than we knew was going to fit because we want that client to feel in control because it is their move. And I tell you, going back to the incredible people I work with, there have been so many moves where as things are coming off the truck, we're going, how the heck are we going to pull this off? And every single time we make it happen. We might have to get creative. That crock pot might have to go in the walk-in closet in the bedroom because there's no more space in the kitchen. Some of the stuff might have to go under the bed, and some things might end up in storage. But the things we can pull off in those difficult situations is remarkable. I can't tell you how many times I go, this is not gonna end well, and it always ends well. And I look around the people I work with and go, you are unbelievable human beings. The things that, because it's not just the move manager making decisions, it's that her whole team can make recommendations on, I think this would look nice here. Have you thought about putting this over here and just making it work?
Awesome.
And sometimes there are things, if there's more art, sometimes art we bring more art than there's room for on the walls. And so those might end up in the second bathroom in the bathtub where we say, told you we're gonna run out of wall space, and then after the fact, they might take that back to the house or donate it or take it to family or something like that. But we've pulled off some miracles, that's for sure. And the people who are pushing back the hardest oftentimes need the most help. We've seen some tough situations where they're the ones that need the most patience and the most emotional support and physical support. So we know when they're pushing back hard that they need our help. There's a reason they're pushing. Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah, very good.
Any other questions people have?
Either of you have questions? No? Okay. Sorry, this is yours.
No, feel free. It's a cool conversation. No, so much great information, but I think I really live up to this mission of, moving is a stressful experience. Downsizing, all the stuff you accumulate in a lifetime. How do you make it easier? Stress free. You guys are doing a great job. Is there anything you want to share before we close today with the group?
I think we've pretty well covered it. I'll do a pop quiz. Is it ever too soon to start?
No.
And should you ever move without a floor plan?
No.
I should ask questions that end up with a yes, that's probably more positive. But I said in the beginning, that's the key takeaway is never, never, never It's never too soon to start. And if you decide you need help, now you know that there are people who can help. We can help as much or as little as you need us to. We've had people just hire us just to do the kitchen, or just to help pack and they can handle the unpack, or they just might need a floor plan. So it's very a la carte, and that's another thing we uncover in that consultation is what help do you need and what do you plan to do on your own? And then we're also well aware that the plan might change. They'll say, I'm gonna pack all this up on my own. We see this all the time. Then we get there on pack day and go, oh, what happened here? And they go, oh, I got sick or something. Something always happens, just life happens. And so then we call the office. This is why it's good having so many employees. We say, we're gonna need a couple more people. This is a little different than we were expecting. And we've got a large pool of employees we can call on for some of these last minute surprises.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. So, you know, you're talking about moving, but also working in this company. How can, if people are interested in working, you know, for the company, you know, how do you recommend them, or part-time, or
Sure.
help it out?
Good question. Go to our website. There is an employment tab up there somewhere. And if you have any questions on working with us, we can do that offline as well. But if you're looking for something part-time, flexible, meaningful, somewhat physical, then it's a fun place to work. And we throw a few employee parties throughout the year. So we've won, probably not supposed to say this yet, but 11 years now in a row, we've won one of the top workplaces for the Star Trib.
Awesome.
We're oftentimes the number one or two small business to work for, and that's all. I don't know if you know how those surveys work. Sorry to talk about another publication, but the survey is all go to the questions. It doesn't go to leadership. We're not telling. Matter of fact, one of the questions is, did you feel pressured to fill out the survey? It's all employees saying that they love their job. So we spend a lot of time thinking, how do we make our employees happy? Keep them busy, keep them happy.
I have one more question.
Yes, please.
So I'm trying to understand the Wellrive, so that's the umbrella company, and
Yes.
they do a wider type of moves, and you guys are the specialists in the senior community. Is that kind of how it
Right.
works?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Not to go too down in the weeds, but just for some context, since you asked, the company called Corporate Relocation International purchased us a couple years ago. They've been around for close to 40 years, I believe. So they've spent even longer than we have building up a network of long-distance moving companies. Their core business is helping people move for their jobs.
Okay.
But therefore, they've got storage, short-term living accommodations, real estate agents, et cetera. So now, really what that Wellrive is us having the ability to tap into the resources they built up over the decades. Yes, a lot of those things we did to some degree before, but now it's in the family, so to speak.
Okay.
When we're hiring a long-distance mover, for example, before, we would just call Mayflower or whomever, and you don't know who the driver's gonna be, you don't know when they're gonna arrive. We like to have control over the process, and with that, we had very little control. Now it's all in the family, we know who the driver is, he probably owns his own truck, and it's a direct line, so the communication's a lot slicker, much smoother process than we had before. Yeah, the good news is the company that bought us, and people do ask me this, how's it going with the new ownership? And they also lead with the heart, they treat their employees very well, they know that we've got a great business model, and so for the most part, they just try to stay out of the way and let us do our thing. When they've met our employees, they came to some employee parties in the beginning as they were getting to know us, and they kept saying the secret sauce, how is a company and a group of employees this well loved? Like, you've never seen anything like it. They kept saying, what's the secret sauce? What's the secret sauce? So the ownership change has been very, very beneficial and positive. I'm happy for the previous owners who got to sell the company after 20 plus years of building it, and they're enjoying their retirement years, and everybody's happy. We had 0 people quit after the company was sold, which I think is very, very telling. Out of 150 people and nobody quit, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah.
That's a gentle transition.
That's a gentle transition. You're hired.
No,
You're good with words.
That's right, that's right.
I have a couple more questions.
Yes.
Costs. How much does it cost? I know there's not one answer.
Great
but
question.
How do you figure that out?
Yes, to really get the cost, so part of a big part of the consultation is we give you an estimate of what we think our services will cost, and as well as the moving company. We know them very well, so we can estimate about how long it'll take them, et cetera. So it's really based on time and supplies. So we'll say, here's how much time we think will be involved with sorting, downsizing, packing, unpacking, resettling. And we work hard to come in under that estimate, provided that everything stays on track. Meaning, sometimes plans change and we need to do more than was originally thought, but it's all based on what is needed and how long we think it'll take.
So the consultation, that's free or?
Free consultation. I can walk you through with that. It's about an hour, maybe 90 minutes if you have a lot of questions. So the first few minutes, we're sitting, the move manager comes to the home on an agreed upon date. We don't just show up. And we sit down at the dining room table or in the living room, wherever the client is comfortable. We give a little bit of history about our company, give them a peek into the process, what to expect if they work with us. The majority of that meeting is us going around the home, room by room, piece by piece, and going, do you plan to bring that? Do you want to bring that? And here's where we start to get their wheels turning on. Okay, so you want to bring everything but from that bookshelf, but it's built in, so it can't come with us. Where do you plan to put those books? I don't know. Okay, great. So it really gets both sides thinking about what do we need to do to make this happen. Then at the very end, we say, based on you needing us to do this, this, and that, and we walk them through line by line the estimate. We say, here's how much sorting we think it'll take, here's how long we think it'll take to pack, et cetera, and then we give them that estimate. And then from there, we are not a sales organization. We're not the guy at the state fair who keeps calling to sell me garage doors. We say, here's the information. If you decide you need our help, now you know where to find us. Most of the time they hire us on the spot, but sometimes they need to think about it, which is very, very understandable.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah.
So I have a really old house, so we're 100 years old. I'm not quite that old yet, but. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed up, and I'm hoping I'm gonna get some of it done soon. But do you all have contacts or suggestions for, if you need to have this done before you sell the house or leave the house?
Yes. If you've got a realtor that you're working with, great. Otherwise, we can make a recommendation from our well-arrived network of real estate professionals. But we often say, before you just start fixing and painting, and talk to your real estate agent. He or she may say, don't bother with this, we should do this. Part of it being us easing the burden is making those recommendations on, before you go crazy with all these home projects, see if it's really if you're gonna get any return on your time and financial investment from that. We try to stay in our lane, and we're not trying to sound smarter than we are. If we don't know the answer, if it's not our job to tell you that, we'll say that's a better conversation for your real estate agent or the estate sale company or whomever.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. Keep them coming, I got all day.
If you have a place to sell, is it better to do that consultation before you put your place in the market, or once you've sold it and are ready to move?
I would say beforehand, because we might decide that it's better to move before you sell the home. It depends, there's so many variables
So you
there.
declutter it a little bit.
That's right, a very common, we do this very often, I'm sorry, go ahead, was there more to your question?
And then I suppose you can live in another place without the inconvenience of having showings and such.
That's right, yeah, something that we see very often is someone has got a home to sell, usually. And it's overwhelming, and there's a lot of work to be done, and the garage is full, all that kind of thing. We say, let's do this in 2 phases. Phase 1, let's get you moved into your new home, set up, and comfortable. Because then this home is gonna be a lot less cluttered, and then it's gonna be a lot less overwhelming. So phase 1 is the move. Then we can go back. Oh, also, that gives us the opportunity to really hammer home this less is more approach. I haven't really mentioned kitchens. Kitchens can bring a move to a screeching halt if they're not planned for well. So we say, I know you want to bring everything in this kitchen, however, it's just not all going to fit. So let's start with there's 2 of you, so let's bring 8 plates, 8 of your favorite coffee mugs, etc. So let's bring a lot less than you think you're going to need. And then, if we get everything unpacked in that kitchen and realize there's room for more dishes and coffee mugs and that extra set of china, then it's easy enough to go throw some stuff in your trunk. Gently, of course. So keeping the home until after you move is oftentimes a best case scenario. There might be reasons why that doesn't work, but boy, does it make it a lot less stressful, and then the real estate agent can go in there and say, I want for staging, let's keep this, please don't donate this piece. I'd like to keep some of this stuff up on the wall, then they can stage it more effectively as well, if that's how that agent wants to handle it. Does that answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's ready to move? Well, anything else before we close? I mean, I think my mind is at ease. Anyone else have a peace of mind now?
Any stories of your own moves that you want to share? Those are always fun. No, I don't really have any parting thoughts, although I appreciate you being here. That anytime someone shows up to an event like this, it gives me, I assume you're planning ahead, which is, so pat yourselves on the back for that. Or if you're here to represent a loved one who you might help, give yourself credit for that, because not everyone we work with has a support system. So if you've got a support system in place, don't take that for granted. A lot of people call us and say, I don't have any help, or my kids live out of state, or I don't want to burden them with this. So if you've got the help and friends and family are going to help you with your move, you're very lucky. If you have any questions, now you know that you can call us for help, even if it's just to pick our brains a little bit. But I thank you for being here and wish you luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Want to thank all of you for joining us today. Also want to thank Eloise, Wirth at the Woods. I think Darcy DeMars want to thank Ecumen for hosting us. Are you going to give a tour? Anyone who's interested in getting a tour of this beautiful facility?
It's beautiful. It's really nice. Yeah.
Tours are available, and this. Want to thank Lee, for your time
Happy
and
to
all
do
the
it.
information. Gentle Transitions, it's a great
Yeah.
company, well-run company, doing great work, building community, helping community. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for this. I
Yeah, thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank
And then
you.
I'll hang around.
Thank
If you've
you.
got questions, I'll stay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah, good. Yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
this. And thank you, Darcy, for setting this up.
Yeah, and thank you guys for showing up and having this event with us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thanks for sharing your home while we're thanking people.
So thank you. This is Let's Connect. We're gonna have a story about this in the paper next month, so tune in.
Okay.
And look for future events to build community. But thank you all. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Yeah, thanks
Thank you
everybody.
for the paper too, because I love reading about all the local stuff. And they're
Yeah,
really good articles, I think.
That's great to
Very
hear.
informative. I read the Star Tribune too, and they complement each other.
That's wonderful.
So
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're more macro and the
Right.
connector is more regional, right? More of a kind of a
Community,
neighborhood
local news.
community. Yeah. Yeah,
bring
which is
community
great. You need
together.
both.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Local news is so important. to deliver. So thank you. Thank you all. Have a great
Thanks,
day.
everybody.
Thank you. It's great to know you have this service.